Greetings, I'm Lil Caesar, one of the founders of the Inglewood family.
We people who are darker than blue, are we gonna stand around this town and let what others say come true? We're just good for nothing, they all figure. A boyish grown up shiftless chicken. Now we can't hardly stand for that. Or is that really where it's at?
One thing about us is we had a lot of guys that did things on an individual level to where they might be by themselves somewhere and roll up on some Crips and, you know, let loose or get off on them or whatever without it being, you know, a whole army of us. So there are a lot of people that people don't know about or don't hear about, kind of like I call them maybe the unsung, because you know I don't claim to be the hardest gangbanger that ever lived or you know the king of Inglewood or anything like that. And hopefully what you'll be able to do is maybe go down the line with the different generations and the different factions and let everybody speak for themselves, or you know, put somebody out there who they will allow to speak for their neighborhood or whatever. And another point that I want to get to is they say that, oh, you know, you shouldn't get in front of the camera, this stuff ain't, you know, supposed to be talked about, this, that, and the other thing. Well, my thing right now is that, you know, I got more days behind me than in front of me. So I have to make it clear that, yeah, we did all of this stuff. But what I'm trying to get the point across is that if I step off the curb at 3 o'clock and the bus comes by and hits me and busts me up, knocks me back up on the curb, I got a broken arm, broken leg. And so I tell you, hey, don't step off that curb at 3 o'clock or you're going to get tore out the frame. And you step out off the curb at 3 o'clock and you get tore out the frame, hey, I told you. You know, so I look at things like this is that when you don't know, you can't be held accountable for certain things.
Yes, this is the ghetto. Showing up now.
When you do know, now you're accountable for your actions. So what I like about what you're doing and what I like about what I heard from the other people that are coming forward and doing the interviews is that all us old guys are basically saying the same thing, that, hey, we made some mistakes. We took our communities in the wrong direction, because what we have to look at is the explosion of the gangbanging came about at the end of the Black Panther era, the BLA. I mean, we had Malcolm X, we had, you know, Martin Luther King. So we were at a point in our time in history then that the Panthers had the numbers that the Crips and everybody else had, I mean, you know, LA would have been a different place. And, you know, maybe the United States a whole different place, because with just small numbers, the things that the Panthers were able to accomplish and establish is kind of remarkable. So if we just think about that, had we kept going in that same direction, where we might be. And that goes back to another theory of mine, is that with the advent and the explosion of the gang thing, that looking at a dude like J. Edgar Hoover, that was like he counted that as a blessing. Because when you think about it, COINTELPRO was still in place when the Crips and everything else started. So, hey, now, we don't have to worry about the Black Panthers anymore, because now they're killing each other. So let's go ahead and throw some gas on this fire and make this thing explode, so that, this is, you know, one of the best things that ever happened to us.
Real talk, that's real.
Take a look over yourself.
I'm going to go back to Barefoot Pookie again. I saw him on a documentary where he was speaking on how the gun became the equalizer for the non-Crip gangs and the Crips. So we had a lot of firepower at that time. Made it seem like we were larger than we were. So even if I'm saying 100 or 150, that's a stretch, you know, for how deep we were up until, you know, 1980 or whatever, when the younger guys inherited the wars and stuff.
Tell me a little bit about the Long Table.
Okay, that's something everybody kind of refers to it now as the Round Table or the Long Table. But what it was is it was actually called ASD, which meant anti-self-destruction. So there were people at that time that were trying to get the point across to us that unity was important. But ASD, I think I mentioned it, actually stood for anti-self-destruction. And what it was, there was a gentleman by the name of V.G. Guinness, who was a gang counselor in LA. And I believe he was like one of the first gang interventionists. And with VG, this is where I met T. Rogers. And they were the ones, as far as I know, they were, their organization or whatever was instrumental in putting this ASD thing together and bringing the different factions together for a sit down. And what they did is, I want to say, I don't know if they paid us $50 individually or $50 all together. I think you could bring like 2 representatives from your neighborhood to the actual long table, and we were getting paid. That was basically, I met Raymond Washington there. I met Puddin from Pyru Puddin and Ralph Carter there. I met Angel from Brims there. I met the brothers from, they call them the Hoover family. We called them West Side family, Shaft, and some of the other brothers from family there. I remember, I want to say Babyface was there. Cool, I think Cool was either from Cute 102 or Kitchen Crips. I don't actually remember right offhand. I remember, I want to say Bulldog was there because he was kind of one of the ones that was kind of running the whole function and everything. I don't remember a lot about what we actually did there. I remember getting paid the money, showing up there, and meeting those different brothers that I just spoke about, meeting them there. But what I do remember is that during the time of the ASD, there were a lot of passes being given out, and a lot of us would see each other at different places or whatever, and we weren't, beefing or anything like that with each other. So that was like one of the first attempts to bring some peace to the community.
Approximately what era was this?
I'm gonna say 1975, maybe even 74. To my knowledge, I think Raymond Washington had just got out of prison around that time. So whatever time it was that he got out, that's about the time that this ASD was going on.
And it ended around 70.
About the same year, probably.
Wow.
I don't even think it lasted a whole year.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal.